What's up, everybody? Welcome to Kinda Funny Reacts to The Force Awakens spoiler-filled review. We've done a spoiler-free review. You should go watch that one until you've seen the movie. Then you're allowed to watch this one. I'm one of your hosts, Greg Miller, alongside the Pride of Long Island, Colin Moriarty.
It's good to be here with you
The
today.
Pure One, Tim Gettys.
I'm very excited. I feel jittery.
Yeah, you can tell.
I just feel so jittery.
You got it in you like I had in the Batman Superman reacts. Just let it out. What is inside of you?
My God. Like that movie, I need to decompress on it. You know, Kevin saw it last night.
Yeah.
Which is upsetting because I didn't get to see it with him. And I was like, stay away from me. I don't want to talk to you about this, whatever. And I pretty much was like, all right, don't spoil anything at all. Give me just a gut, whatever. He's like, I need to decompress. That's all he said. And now I know what he's talking about.
Yeah.
There's so much in that movie. So much was done right. And I want to bring attention to one thing. I'll let you talk about the title crawl, which was absolutely excellent. Mm-hmm. But I want to bring attention to the first line of the movie, the first spoken line. And when this was said, it fucking hit me. It hit me so hard because I instantly knew this movie is going to be a masterpiece. And that line was, "This will begin to make things right." Said by someone that we didn't know who it was, some new character. And you hear this and you're just like, J.J. Abrams is on a fucking mission. And he knows what he's doing. He needs to cross those prequels out. He needs to set the course forward for what Star Wars is going to be for the rest of our lives. Sure. And he needs to fix all of this. He needs to set this right. And he needs to put us on this path where movies can happen. There's characters we care about. And the characters that we love, we need to remember why we love them. And we need to be able to move on from them. And he fucking did that shit.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, I wrote on Facebook just that I was like, thank you because, to JJ and to Disney because like we said like I said in the spoiler-free kind of little video we did, like the prequels are unfathomably terrible. They're fucking awful, and they're just bad movies. They're they're fucking awful Star Wars movies. They don't understand what Star Wars is. The ironic thing about there's an argument. I think we watched it together maybe some years ago. The People versus George Lucas, which is a great documentary, and it's about is Star Wars so important that George Lucas really has no ownership over. Clearly, he doesn't anymore. But this was before he sold. Like, did he have a right almost to ruin the movie, like to ruin them so badly for so many people? And there's different arguments. My argument actually is that he has every right to because these characters are his.
Right.
But it's clear that he really didn't understand what Star Wars was to the people that loved it, even after A New Hope. It was Lawrence Kasdan and those guys that really made Empire and Jedi these great movies, and so that are better than A New Hope, I think. So like he even maybe in the late 70s didn't quite understand Star Wars. He understood that he made these characters and we would not have any of this without him. So I thank him for that. But having him removed has been very good. And you can see the reaction to, at least I'm reading between the lines with interviews he's given recently where he's kind of bitter. And I mean, that's the way he sounds. And there's, I know his son was talking about how he had some regret about, or like, should he have stayed involved? And he gave them the treatments for episodes 7, 8, 9 that he wrote and they just threw them away.
Like,
and
nah, son.
Yeah.
And so I think that it was good to get some new blood in there. As I said, when the movies were announced, I think, these are made by now people that grew up with it. It's not like in this mind share of the people that, kind of formulated it in the 70s and early 80s. It's a new generation of people like us. So I think the movie, is a reaction to that. And I think that the movie is a new hope. I think that that's going to be some people's complaints about it is that there is a lot, and especially if you are a big Star Wars fan, which we are, there's a lot.
Yeah,
like they show a quick thing of Finn picking up the ball on the Millennium Falcon. Like that Luke is like, so there's like all of these, but it's like little shit like that and then big things like that.
But stuff like that just shows, like, I think that I said in the spoiler-free video that I think that they treated all the fan servicey stuff with a lot of respect and that it was very well handled compared to the prequels, which were, here's R2 and here's C-3PO and here's all this stuff. Every time there was a reveal in this movie, it felt like we earned it, And there was a lot of little things like the ball that, yeah, okay, that's fan service for the people that know. But I think that also kind of progressed the plot a bit and gave you a little bit more details about the world because that shows that ball's still in the Millennium Falcon. Like, the Millennium Falcon has seen some shit, but it's still, not much has changed, you know? And it's like, when in this movie, we had so many questions going into it based on the trailers, and so many of them were answered, but so many weren't. And I think that every little bit like that, where it's like we can kind of fill in, one of the things that we still don't know is where is the First Order and Resistance at? What's happened the last 30 years that has caused the name changes and such different things. And so things like that kind of show where the galaxy has been, and the more shit like that, the better. And I think they nailed all that stuff.
Yeah, I do too. I think, so we were talking about the crawl. I think, first of all, the crawl confirmed in the first line what everyone thought the movie was about, or a lot of people thought the movie was about Luke Skywalker's gone. And when I saw that, I was like, yes.
Yeah.
Like that's why like that's why I got so emotional, because I'm like, yes, this is awesome. You know, like he's gone, he's disappeared, and
Luke
no one knows.
Skywalker has vanished.
Yeah,
is the
it's-
line.
Yeah, and
I said this in the spoiler-free review. Like, I didn't just tear up. Like, a literal tear like rolled down my face. And I
But
was
why?
Like, it just, I mean, it hit all the emotional cues that it had to. And like what Colin's saying is like, this is it. Like, this is the movie that we wanted. This is the movie that we're waiting for. We want to know what's Luke been up to, what's Han, Luke, and Leia been up to. And like, instead of it being like a weird fan fiction-y way, Luke not being there. Like, this is kind of jumping around a bit, but like, I am so happy with how they handled Luke. And like I was saying, that I hope they don't show him with a lightsaber. And I think that's the biggest complaints of this movie are going to be that it's too similar to A New Hope, that we don't see Luke with his like Luke doing cool things. And
Well,
that,
that's a fuck
and
that.
that's exactly
Throw that complaint out the window.
and that it's too J.J. Abrams and whatever and all that. And my thoughts on all three of those things are: one, we got the perfect amount of Luke. We need to set up this world, and they did that so well. Two, the lightsaber thing. If you spoiled everything in one movie, then it's like, what do you have to look forward to? And that's when you get Attack of the Clones, which is just give everyone a fucking lightsaber.
Yeah.
You know?
give Grievous 4 of them at least.
Exactly. And then with the J.J. Abrams thing, I personally feel like people are like, this, it's not Star Wars. Star Wars is slower and this and that. And it's like, not to hate on their opinion. I should stop using the angry commenter voice. But I feel like this is what a modern Star Wars movie needed to feel like.
I agree with
The
that.
pacing was great, and you saying that it's your favorite Star Wars movie, that says something. This I think resonates with the Marvel and DC universe fans that are used to seeing these movies now. But I think this is better than that. Like, I think
agree.
that this
No.
is the Star
No, no,
Wars.
no,
This
no,
has
no.
those characters, and it has a depth to it.
For me, yeah, exactly. And that's the reason I think when I was, in the car ride at home thinking about why I like this one so much, is that I think it was the parts that I liked the most, and the fact that I liked in the prequels, it's vibrant and there's this cool, crazy world you don't know, right? But it was too fake. It was too phoned in. It was too CG. And I'm just talking out of technical specs for some reason. Then in, Empire, New Hope, all that stuff, it always looked dated to me because I got into it. I didn't start watching until I'm a teenager or whatever. But I like the merging of the practical effects with the CG here to make this world that's more believable. But then, for honestly, the reason I love this film so much based on what we just saw is the performances. You know what I mean? Everyone, I coming in, I knew none of these characters really. You see people running. You've seen Finn a bunch of times running around. Finn's hilarious.
Amazing.
He's awesome. His relationship with Poe is awesome.
Yeah.
Poe is awesome. Rey is great. Is just like this super strong, awesome female character. Adam Driver, who I'm hit or miss on. Sometimes I love him. Sometimes I hate him and stuff. Just based on like the performances or the characters he has to play. Loved him in this. Thought he was great in this. Thought he was. Like Han Solo was great in this. You know what I mean?
I mean,
Like,
that's the thing. Han Solo was great in this. Harrison Ford wasn't great.
Yeah,
in
you
this.
were worried about
Han
Harrison
Solo
Ford
was great
standing
in
in,
this,
right?
and that is one of the biggest like worries that everyone would have, you know. And I think that they did a great job with that. The biggest issue I had in terms of acting and stuff, and I don't even want to give this too much shit, but like Carrie Fisher was the one thing where like a couple of her lines, she wasn't Princess Leia, she was Carrie Fisher, and it took me out of it just because I'm a fan like that, and I think that way. But having said that, it's like I was talking to Kevin a bit about this, and he thinks that they need to like back off of her because it like really bothered him. But for me, I'm like, no, I mean, that's when we need to reach our hand out. They did so much for us to like help us believe that we need to be like, you know what? I'm gonna turn that off. This is Princess Leia.
Yeah.
Like this is a character that's important. We can't think of the actress and all of this stuff. And not to hate on her either. Like she did a damn good job. You know? It's just this isn't the Princess Leia we saw before.
For me, it was like I'm watching it and I'm watching the movie and it's going and I'm like, man, I really like this Finn character and I like her and I like these different things and I'm like, I like that there's more humor here than at least more in your face humor, if that makes sense. It's not like slapstick, but like I felt like I was in it more. It was more top level. I'm right there. It's like supposed to be funny. Thumbs up is when I was like, this movie's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
When Finn gives the thumbs up and BB-88 pops out the little lighter, or BB-8
Dude,
pops out the
BB-8
later.
killed it too. Like who thought that we'd love a droid again? You know?
Yeah, he was very likable. I think in my mind, I don't know that these characters will ever be Luke, Leia, or Han. I don't think that's possible. I don't care. Like, but the cross pollinating them and then slowly, what's clearly going to happen is killing them off. And we'll talk about that in a minute. But then you slowly engender like a new generation of people, plus the old generation like us, with these new characters. I think. I actually, to be perfectly honest with you, thought Carrie Fisher was fine, and like and Leia's like always been kind of sarcastic and dry and
I like that Death Star line.
So like I like she's never been like a top tier actor. Like Harrison Ford is like a fucking great actor. I don't think Carrie Fisher was ever a great actress. I like so. We might have too much expectation of her. We don't also know what Mark Hamill's capable of. Mark Hamill is not a very good actor either. And
I'm being critical. Like I'm looking for the things that like didn't feel perfectly right to me. Because like I said, I was totally fine with her, and like I did turn it off in my head because I'm like, this is great.
Yeah, she is Princess Leia, just like Mark Hamill's always going to be Luke. So like they're playing themselves, playing these characters or whatever. It's like those are kind of the characters anyway. Harrison Ford out of those three is the only one that really has real acting bona fides in my opinion. Like going back before to the 70s, before 77, all the way to today, unlike these other two, which, Hamill kind of does more like, voice acting. Carrie Fisher doesn't really, do much. So it's although her one woman show was hilarious. So yeah, I think that they did capture the essence of it. I do think that it is, like I said, a reactionary and safe movie. And I don't know that that's necessarily a bad thing, but it is like, okay, desert planet, droid lands on desert planet, person finds droid has information that needs to get to the same exact person, by the way.
Person is captured.
Yeah.
Is prisoner.
Yeah,
exactly.
And, like,
they have to get him out. Like there was so much A New Hope in that.
Yeah, it's insane how A New Hope is, and part of me was like, oh, come on. But like we did complain so much about the prequels as a group of Star Wars fans, like, and how they just were bonkers, like fucking stupid. Like they just didn't make any sense. They is not like nonsense politics and making cool characters like Darth Maul and killing them immediately.
Awesome, Colin? You know what's fucking awesome? Yeah. We don't need to care about that anymore.
Yeah, I know.
Like we have a new thing. Like the bitching about the prequels is done. Like we don't need to.
Yeah, no, we
spent the last 10 years doing that.
It is nice, but then you have Vader character, which is really, Kylo Ren now. You have Tarkin, who's really Hux. Then you have the Emperor, who's Snake or Snoke.
We have a fucking Emperor character
who I kind of think is the Emperor, but I don't.
That's the fucking best thing. Yeah. There's we had so many questions going in based on the trailers. Now we have a couple of those unanswered. Like, oh shit, there's like the Knights of Ren, and then we literally just see a second more than we saw in the trailers of them, like in that flashback thing. It's like that's fucking awesome. I can't wait to hear more about that. And now it's like, oh, there's this Emperor character. Who is it? Who is Snoke? Could it be the Emperor? Because there could be some bullshit that it is. Could it be Plagueis? The person that the Emperor talked about in the prequels that like learned how to cheat death and stuff, and he couldn't do it himself or whatever. But like they're so open-ended with that.
Yeah,
that shit could
it be Watto?
It could be Watto. It could be anyone. I think that but then it started like there is some because we want to criticize and be critical of things too when they deserve it. There is too much convenience in the movie, but like I think that you. Like especially how they found the Falcon and Han. I'm like, this is a little ridiculous. But that
Falcon reveal though,
they're
running and then that's like,
garbage.
It's like, oh, that ship's garbage, and then they're like, all right, garbage ship, and it's the fucking Millennium Falcon.
Yeah, I mean that's awesome. But like how Han like stumbles onto them, and so I'm like, all right. But like,
they were searching for it, right? Like that.
The galaxy's tried. Huge.
At least they tried that it was going to get pinged. Yeah. Kevin's got something to chime in.
It was a solid line where they were like, we need to get to Maz
Kanata.
And they're like, what for? To get a clean ship. How do you think we found you guys?
Yeah, no, I know they tried to. There's exposition there, but I was still like, because it's the same thing we were. I mean, to be fair, it is the same thing we were complaining about the prequels. Like, how are all these motherfuckers finding each other over and over and over again? So that's not really a complaint. But then it's like the Death Star and destroying planets important to the Republic. I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ! But at the same time. I can't really be. I'm really not upset about it. Like it's like okay, like this is familiar and fun. The problem will be if episode 8 is Empire.
But see that's what I like about it is
they have to step stray.
My thing is I've spent the last year and a half predicting this movie and trying to piece it together with the trailers and all that stuff. And you can now, like, if you have time now that you actually know the shit, go watch one of the Rewind Theater style things we did because. I really am like, this is what's happening, and it's just like A New Hope. Like, it's this happens, and this happens, and this happens. But there's so much more that happens. And, like, the Emperor wasn't in A New Hope. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, there's all these, like, characters and stuff that we don't get to in A New Hope. The Yoda character's not in A New Hope, but he is here. It's Luke. So I think that they did a good job, and I'm hoping that my one wish for this movie, and I said this a couple days ago when we were all talking, is that I hope that it does a really good job setting up what Star Wars is going to be.
Sure.
And I think that it did that, and I think it had to do it by copying A New Hope, but I think that it kind of copied all of them. A New Hope was the real plot thing, but there was a lot of Empire.
Yeah,
there was a lot of Jedi in it, and it was just like, all right, now episode 8 and 9, we're going to give you something new with these characters that we just kind of gave
Made
you a
you
familiar
love.
way to love them and all that stuff.
Yeah. Also, I think to your point that with the intermediary movies like with Rogue One or whatever, like that these are not going to be tethered to the characters we know at all. I don't think anyone's going to be in those movies that we recognize. So I think if we don't want something that's familiar but just in the universe, I think we're going to get those movies too. So I can't complain too much about that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. The thing I walked away most impressed with, and I was talking to Greg about it afterwards, is that I really liked Kylo Ren. He is the antithesis of Darth Vader. He's fucking completely unhinged. He's totally unhinged. He has anger problems.
When he slices up the computers and when anything else, that was awesome.
Yeah, the stormtroopers being like,
and that's the humor I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? I didn't see in the original trilogy or whatever. But yeah, those stormtroopers come down, stops the other one, they just 180 and leave.
or like
So
with
it's great.
Poe Dameron in the very beginning, like one of the first lines he has, he's like, "So am I gonna talk?
Yeah. So you gonna talk or am I gonna talk?
This is the
I
tone
can't
we're
hear
going
you through
for.
the mask.
Great.
Yeah. I loved it.
Yeah, I think that character is really special because they were wise not to kill him off, which I was really happy with. It looked like they were going to, and that was I was like, please don't. I remember saying it like to my mom, I'm like, please don't fucking kill him because this is exactly what you did to Maul, and it's not necessary. Maul was one of the only redeeming fucking qualities of any of the prequels, and you fucking killed him immediately. And I was like, you have to build tension with this character. This character has to fight, Rey, and they did. Now, like what's funny about his character to me is that I think they intentionally made him different than Vader in every way. Vader is cool, calm, and collected. In Empire, when Vader fights Luke, he beats the shit out of Luke. He beats the fucking shit out of Luke. And like, there's no prayer. Like Luke, like has no chance. When Kylo Ren fights Rey, like Rey kind of fucks him up. Like he's not as strong as Vader, and they talk about that, and that's like one of his insecurities.
Yeah. Now, so here's my thing. I think another complaint is, without training, how can they all fight and stuff? And it's like, first off, it's a movie. If they didn't know how to fight, this wouldn't be a good movie. Second off, based more like actually in storyline of them trying to make things make sense. Like he gets shot. And then they bring attention to it by him bleeding a little bit and like making himself bleed. It's like it's showing he's
Not
injured.
at 100%, yeah.
He's not at 100%, and he's angry. And
But they
they
made a comment earlier in the thing too that he wasn't fully trained. Or whatever.
exactly.
So it's not like he knows everything.
but still going against someone that has no
Sure.
training.
Yo,
But
well,
there's something natural about the metachlorians in your blood.
You're right.
what do you want to say, Kevin?
I don't think that neither of them had no training. Like,
Well, she hadn't
Right.
had Jedi training, is what they're
but,
saying.
like,
She had
they
the
knew
stick. She knew how to
fight, is what I'm
stick.
saying.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I guess you're right. You're right.
Yeah,
But
they
again,
do
to the point of like a Jedi from the prequels versus somebody who just has a bow staff, I would imagine.
Yeah, like
that,
Luke trained Kylo Ren, right? I mean, that
Yeah.
was the insinuation. So it's not like, I mean, all I'm saying is that like he worships Vader, and this cult of personality that's developed around Darth Vader. Again, not knowing what happened to him, and I hope that they kind of flash back to the second Death Star at some point and like really show what happened after that and how this like totally unraveled and how no one knows that Vader betrayed the Emperor and stuff like that. But to me, it was like I'm like, this is cool. Like he can't control himself at all. And Vader was very controlled to the very end. To the very end, Vader was a Jedi, but he was just he was a Sith Lord, but he was like composed like badass. And Kylo Ren utilizes his powers in different ways, and I really liked how. I thought the different force powers he used were fucking awesome. How he stopped the bolt in like the middle of the air and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Oh my god.
And like is like tossing people around and like he's like reading their minds and stuff like. There was a lot of really cool stuff that you don't see. Like you see Vader force choke people and like when Han's shooting him in Boba Fett or whatever. He stops things in Bespin with his hands, but like you don't see there was like really cool ideas. I loved how that bolt just stayed there on the screen.
There was really cool ideas, and they didn't go crazy. People weren't flipping around and like.
I was
going
gonna say the fights were way more grounded, right?
And
They were animated, things were happening. It was good swordplay, but it wasn't like the
flipping around, and that's not even just hating on the prequels. I mean, even the original trilogy like has Luke and them kind of jumping and it looks super corny and shit. This one didn't have any of that, The scene when Kylo's on the bridge and like looks up and sees Rey and Finn up there near towards the end. Like I thought he was gonna do.
I
one of
thought
those
so
super
too.
jumps, and he
I thought
didn't.
too.
And I'm like, thank you for a little bit of
because
restraint.
he isn't trained.
Yeah, exactly.
way.
Now going to that, like I've been again talking for months about my predictions and stuff, and I was like, all right, it's obvious to me that Kylo is Han's kid and that his sister is Rey and all this stuff. And it's like, I was half right.
Yeah.
I was wrong about Rey.
So that's what I want to talk. That's my biggest question right now is who's Rey's folks?
So they made it very clear that it's not Han's kid.
Right.
Like, all right, taking this a step back, one of the things I'm most impressed with this movie is they didn't wait till the end to have the Darth Vader, like, I am your father moment. It was a third through the movie, and this motherfucking giant projection, which, how awesome is that? You know? This imposing projection is just like, oh yeah, your dad's here, Han Solo. And it's like, oh fuck. You guys confirmed that in a really unexpected way without building up the surprise. And I thought that was good. That's more surprising, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like, all right, let's just get that right off there. And then for me, I was like, all right, so the big thing then, like Rey's going to be the reveal. Like at some point they're going to have this. And then line after line, they just confirmed, nope, nope, nope. Like every time Leia and Han talked, it was like, I lost both of you. They would have mentioned it then. There's another line where it's that they could have brought up or would have brought up that they had a daughter if they did. Yeah. So it's Luke's kid.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And so I'm assuming what I took away from we play too many video games. The cutscene, I was gonna say, the flashback when she goes to grab the lightsaber, right, and gets all the visions, right. There's that vision of her screaming up at the spaceship leaving her on the desert planet, right. And I'm assuming what I took away from that, and also her, I thought unnatural. I need to be here. I need to be on Jakku because my family's coming back for me. Is that somebody mind wiped her? Is what I took away from it. Right? I need to protect you. I'm putting you here, and I'm going to erase who you are, or at least block who you are. But no, you have to stay here because your family will come back for you one day.
Yeah, I mean, well, she obviously there's a lot that we don't know about her because she's a pilot. She knows all this like mechanical stuff. She knows how to fight. She knows like at least somehow how to use the Force, having not really known any of that. Like, there's missing stuff there. So it's like her mind wasn't totally erased, or it was, and she's gaining it back.
Yeah, that's the thing is I think there was a block inserted in there that needs to get removed, and then it'll all flood back to her. Yeah,
so I mean the thing now is like I love that we got Luke's back. Like I had a lot of questions of this 30 years. Why are Han and Leia not together? Like why would Luke leave? They answered all of it. Yeah. It wasn't in some crazy like elegant like essay, but it was like a line here and a line there and a line there. Yeah. Like, cool. You guys really built this world very well. Right. And I like that Luke is gone because he was leading a new Jedi Academy. Fucking awesome. And then one of his main students, Han Solo and Leia's kid, turns bad on him and he's like, fuck this, I'm out. Now, my thing is, that doesn't sound like a very Luke thing to do. You know, I think that there's more to this. Sure. So I'm leaving some predictions for later. If Rey is Luke's kid, he had to have a wife. Or at least a mother to the kid.
That's how that works, yeah.
Did Kylo kill the mom? And that really makes him go like, I'm out? Because I think that they need more reason. And I think that that'll be an easy way to like really even give more emotional impact for why Luke would just be like, hey, I did all this shit to like be good and save people, but peace, I'm going to go to Ireland for a bit. Yeah. Ireland. That's where they went at the end, right?
Yeah, totally Ireland, yeah. But yeah, I mean, because you figure... what you're talking about, how she kind of knew how to use the Force and kind of knew all the tricks and whatever. She clearly already studied about it and learned the myths of Luke Skywalker and the Jedi. But you figure if she would, and this is where it gets hazy from what I'm talking about here, is in real life, there's a 10-year age gap between Adam Driver and the woman who plays Rey, who I can't remember her real name, sorry.
Daisy Ridley.
Thank you very much. So if we're going to take that and extrapolate that and put it into the thing here, then we'd say at 22, let's say, Adam Driver is 22. She's 12. I didn't get a really good sense of how old the girl was in the little interstitial, but maybe she was in training too at the Jedi Academy and then gets dropped off there. And then that's why when it all starts happening and she realizes she forced back on him, right? And pushed him back. But then again, why wouldn't he say something? He would have been able to put it together. Mm-hmm. That's interesting. Yeah. There's no block on Kylo. So he would have been like, I recognize you or this, that, or the other.
Yeah. Yeah. There's but he said when she's with a girl, he did freak the fuck out.
Yeah, but she's strong in the Force. Yeah, that's true.
I mean, without the Force being named, just like there's a girl, and he was like, ah, right, why spin with the girl? You know,
good point. That's a great point. Yeah, that's a really good point actually. But yeah, so maybe that's the deal. Is that Luke was already training her as in the young Padawan class. Yeah, that Anakin infamously killed.
Of course. Now another like the biggest I think spoiler of this movie, obviously Han's death. Yeah. Now, first off, called it. Second off,
and that dude, you and Kevin like nailed so much of this and ruined the movie for me. But
second off, called it in the wrong spot, and this is what I'm talking about. Like so much of this movie that I was like, I had this fucking nailed
What do
down.
you mean? I thought it was exactly what you said. Where you said it was the Obi. It was going to be the Obi-Wan,
no.
and this he
So
would get struck down
that
by
stuff.
Kylo.
No, but that scene when I was like, that's Han's dead body. Nope, it's just Finn's comatose body.
Oh,
like
yes,
that's what I was saying. Was like I was so right about so much, but in different ways. And there's those motherfuckers got me with the well. First off, Finn ain't no goddamn Jedi. I told you all that shit. So all you internet commenters, yeah, deal with it. Second off, that scene of Kylo Ren from the first teaser, it's like there's been an awakening. He's in the snow. The thing turns on. And then the later teaser where we see Finn scared and he puts up the lightsaber. Neither of those scenes in the movie. That scene replaced with Rey fighting and all that stuff. When we first see Kylo, he's just standing in there with it already ignited. And shit. So it's like, I like that they're putting shit in the marketing that is intentionally trying to throw us off. And that's good. Thank you. You know, because if we go in knowing everything, even when we want to, I think it's a good thing that we don't.
100%.
It kept me like going. Like the scene that where it's like the bad guy command center and like there's an explosion. I'm like, oh, that's obviously like at the ice planet Death Star, which I also called, and it's just gonna blow up. No, that's in like the first 5 minutes of the movie. It's just some random ass command shuttle thing. And Captain Phasma.
Yeah, I thought she'd have a bigger role this time around, huh?
But I thought that she had a good role.
I do too.
They've definitely set her up. She'll be back.
That's
you know what I mean?
The groundwork was laid for sure.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was saying. Like, I don't agree. Like, I think that they made her out to be a weak character. I was like, I think that she like got fucking owned by them. Like, and I know that's gonna be like a thing. Like, she's gonna have like a redemptive quality. But like, Finn owned her, and then they fucking owned her again. Like when they like made her lower the shields on the ice planet. So it was like, I was like, this is too bad because I really actually super fascinated by that character, female, like the stormtrooper, female like officer, or like she's like their leader or whatever. I was like, that's like they didn't make her seem powerful ever at all, and that was like there was nothing about her that was like interesting, and I was kind of disappointed in that. You can't focus on all of these different characters, but I thought they focused on her twice, and it was both times she was getting fucked with. Yeah, and I was like, like
what was the first time?
When Finn she walks onto the ship. Finn,
he has the
and
helmet off.
she wants to like look at the gun log because she knows that he didn't shoot or whatever. And then he fucking like slips out with Poe like right under her nose, and then he goes back, fucking attacks her and holds her at gunpoint.
That was obvious that he owned her. I didn't think he owned her really that time.
The first time walking off. But my thing is, I'm impressed with how much lines she had, like speaking lines. I thought she would take off the helmet, and she didn't. I think that they're saving that for more of a special reveal. But I was impressed with how much just lines they gave her to just speak as a stormtrooper, you know. But I get what you're saying about her not being she should be more of like a dominant force. But I also like that there's a lot of bad guys now. You know, it's not just there's Vader and there's this Emperor guy. Now it's like, all right, we got that General Hux dude who is like Tarkin, but I already love the like sibling rivalry going on between
Tarkin liked Vader. It doesn't seem like Tarkin was actually ahead of Vader in like the flow chart, and I think Hux probably clearly is too, but Hux doesn't like Kylo Ren, so it's like, or like that's the vibe I get. So yeah, there's a different relationship between them, and he's still alive, unlike Tarkin who died.
So I like that. I like that we're left now with angry villains that are all looking for redemption. You know what I mean? All of them got punked in a lot of ways. You know, we got except for Snoke. The fucking projection
Supreme leader.
So we got Supreme Leader Snoke, we got General Hux, we got Kylo Ren, and we got Captain Phasma. And all of them, they look more badass than they're coming off in this movie. Yeah. So I think that's cool.
Yeah, I think it's cool too. I just with Phasma's thing at the end, like it didn't need to be her. It could have just been any stormtrooper or any officer. I don't like that. Seemed to be wedged in. I'm like, just leave her alone. Like you don't have to
leave her alone.
Well, it's like think about Boba Fett. Like you never like Boba Fett's introduced in Empire and he's in Jedi. He's in it for a little while, but you never really know anything about him. He's just cool because you don't know anything about him. So you don't need to like focus too much on Phasma, make it like just force her into the storyline in some bizarre way. Like how would she have even gotten assaulted like that? Like that. So I have. I don't know. I thought that was weird. That was one of the weird things about it. But I do think one of the exciting things about it, and one of the things I hope they explore is, like we were saying, is the lore, because there's a lot missing in Jedi with the second Death Star. It's not insinuated, but you assume like this is a thing of galactic importance. Everyone knows what's going on with this thing. Everyone knows this fight's happening. Everyone has a dog in the race, you know. And it's like, to me, it's just confusing that no one knows what the fuck happened. Mm-hmm. Like there's got to be no one knows That the jet, like they were Jedi. No one knows what Luke Skywalker did. Like these things didn't get around. It's not like Luke was like hiding it. Everyone on Bespin knew what happened with in Empire with with Vader. Like there was all this fucking shit going on. Then
it sounds like they knew about Luke though.
Well, a lot of people think it's a legend, and to me it's like how just think about I don't know why this came to mind for me, but Luke swaggers into Jabba's palace in Jedi like a badass, right? There's hundreds of people there that witness everything that happened. And you don't that doesn't proliferate.
But I mean,
but that's how legends
are made. It's like
right?
There's this fucking dude that came in with a green goddamn lightsaber, fucking wrecked shop.
Yeah, but 30 years later, everyone doesn't even know if he existed. No one even knows what the
Because
Force
he's
is.
gone
There
into-
are no
Jedi,
galaxy,
right?
There's a Jedi Academy, but I don't know. I disagree with you guys on that. I think that there's weirdness there, and I think that that's probably intentional, and I think that they're going to explore the lore. But there's a lot missing because to your point before, just politically, and this is what the books went into in the expanded universe before they don't exist anymore with Thrawn and Mara Jade and all that kind of stuff was what happened in the Empire. After the second Death Star, they clearly exist. They're still using Star Destroyers. They're stormtroopers. They still use TIE fighters. So there's all of these political questions, and clearly there are two governmental organizations ruling two different sets of planets still. So there's just something lost in the ether about it just seems a little too weird to me. Like the slate was just clean, and no one remembers. Or it's remembered in this legendary way, even though it happened 30 years ago. It's that's like us saying like Desert Storm is a thing that we don't even know if it happened. You know what I mean? Like that, I just in terms of of time of distant time or whatever.
I think that the people that need to know. I imagine that Hux and all of them believe in Luke Skywalker, right? It's
clearly they're looking for him.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. So it's I don't think that it's that everyone thinks they're a legend, but it's random girl on Jakku is
who's just farming shit off down plains or whatever. Yeah,
but that was cool too. The other insinuation there and they show a lot of it on Jakku is and I haven't read much about it, but they don't really talk about it. It's shit went down there, and it's really there's a massive
the
crash.
Battle of Jakku.
Yeah,
you can find in Star Wars Battlefront.
In terms of the crash Star Destroyer, I love when she's eating in front of the AT-AT.
Yeah, that was really
that's
cool.
down or
that
whatever.
was really really cool.
So there's cool shout outs to old lore that we don't really even understand.
Yeah.
This was definitely post second
Jedi.
Death Star. So they have to go back into that and explain what the fuck happened, because I think this is where
C-3PO's red arm, which I fucking love. Everyone's like, how the fuck did that happen? And then not only do they not explain how it happened, he's just like, oh, you don't recognize me
because of my red arm.
Red arm.
That was awesome.
Yeah,
C-3PO was great.
Yeah.
I loved how they used him.
I like how he popped up.
Yeah, exactly.
between.
He pops in the frame.
Oh god, that was great.
Yeah,
it was
cool.
great, man. Funny,
And
funny
all right.
movie.
Now, biggest surprise moment for me, which isn't it's one of those things in retrospect. It's like, oh, well, yeah, that makes sense. But Han walking up on towards the bridge and seeing Kylo Ren, it's like you see they're about to have the confrontation, and Kylo's been having his back and forth about hearing the light side and all that stuff. So it's like when they have that moment, I knew Han was dying, so I knew that was gonna happen. But they did a fairly good job, I think, of is he just gonna go with him? They need to build up the bad guy, and so I'm thinking movie politics. So I know he's gonna die, but I think they did a good job of making it look like he was questioning.
Yeah,
but I did not expect Han to walk up and go, Ben.
That was cool. That was a really cool moment because he just goes so quiet. He's Ben, and just
and there's no music for that scene,
exactly.
the entire time, and I was like, oh, this is so fucking good.
Yeah, and I love the shout out of why he's named Ben and stuff
That's
like that
so
too,
good.
which is it's really cool. So it's it is really interesting, and I like that because I talked a little bit about that. I thought that they wouldn't treat these characters sacred and kill them. I don't know if it was gonna be Han first. I was sad to see Han killed, but I think you have to raise the stakes.
He's the Obi-Wan of this, man.
Yeah, and you have to what I love about it is that no one's sacred now. Now anyone can die, and I respect that, and I like that. I think that's really cool because I think that most of them are going to be dead by the end of this.
Yeah.
So it's I like that. When someone dies and it raises the stakes and it heightens the tension and the emotion. That Finn and Rey witnessing it, I think was more important than Han even dying actually, because because they do insinuate that Rey has is developing a fatherly relationship, father-daughter relationship with Han, not knowing that probably Luke's her dad, and Luke and Han obviously are boys. The one thing that I want to bring up, because I assume we'll be wrapping up soon, is there came a point where I didn't know if Luke was going to be in it at all, and and he is at the very end, obviously. But when I was getting there, I'm like, you maybe just end it. I'm like, that would be fucking kind of cool. But I think they understood that people would have been pretty pissed off, and I'd probably be sitting here if it didn't happen. Like, where the fuck's Luke? but I think the happy medium would have been like if she just walked up to him and we knew it was him before he turned around, and they just ended it there without even showing his face or anything like that. I would have loved that. So I like that they threw him in there. No lines.
Yeah.
No dialogue.
I thought it was very well handled. A little awkward of a shot for how long that kind of pan around was of her just holding the lightsaber out. Like
you should have just been like, bing,
yeah, I honestly thought we were gonna see it kind of like just like go over to him, but I mean I can't even complain. Like I was
it's not a complaint.
taken over at that part where I was like, oh my god. But the other thing is, and I need to rewatch it because it all happened so fast. But you hear Obi-Wan's voice at some point during
These are your first steps.
Is that what he said?
When she has the visions, right after the visions. I thought it was Luke's voice saying these are your first steps. I'm pretty sure
it was
definitely. I mean, I don't know. You're the Star Wars expert, so I'm just letting you know.
I'm convinced I heard him say Rey. So I'm like, I don't know. I again need to watch.
I heard these are the first steps.
Yeah,
your first steps. One of the two.
There's so much happening.
And then the fucking woman with her Coke bottle glasses comes up.
Masconad's great.
I like her a lot, except she doesn't understand metachlorians.
Yeah, no,
the Force is all around you. No, it isn't. It's bacteria in our blood. We know this.
Yeah. I think they did a really good job of building up the new characters. The practical effects were awesome. And I do want to give a shout out to the CG where they didn't shy away from using it. It wasn't perfect in all spots. CG never is. But I'm happy that the direction with it wasn't like, let's like totally fuck the prequels. Like, there was CG characters, and there was a nice mix of all of them. And I was telling you a couple days ago, all I want is one line that references the prequels. Like I want at least something that shows that they are canon and all of that stuff. And we got it. We got it.
What was the lightsaber?
What's up
with the lightsaber line? I mean, that's really established in A New Hope, but when they talk about how the lightsaber was also Luke's father's.
No. I'm talking about when it's early on and Kylo's all pissed off. He's like, what? Why are we losing whatever? And just like, should we get like clones?
Oh, the clones.
Like, no, we don't need clones. We need real like troopers or whatever.
Yeah, that is true. That's a good point.
Yeah. And like that's like a sly fuck you, you know?
Yeah, it is because well, I think that's also why maybe a reaction to one of my major complaints, which was the Clone Army, and they reference the Clone Wars a lot, and well, not a lot, but they reference them in A New Hope, and so we always wonder what that was. And they went and they once, and we always were like, what are the Clone Wars? And they'd show us, and we didn't really end up wanting to see it after all. So at least not in that terrible, Lucas vision of the Clone Wars. So I think that the direct reaction was more than that line. I think that like the stormtroopers are human, and they talk about how they're kidnapped, and like, or at least some of them are, and all that kind of stuff. And
you see the picture of him when he was a baby, like on one of the little like CG like hollow screens or whatever. And like I like that his name Finn, like they give the source for that, and it's like that's really cool.
Yeah, like they're not even named and stuff like that, and they chatter a lot. Like that's the cool thing. Like you hear the sand troopers, for instance, when Obi-Wan's using mind tricks on them in the land speeder when they're trying to get to Mos Eisley. Like you see that kind of stuff, but there's a lot of chatter. Like the stormtroopers are built up as humans and like real people, not like just like fucking doofuses. So yeah, I liked that as well.
And the fight with the stormtrooper with the like shock thing.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, I think I think in Star Wars, I could be wrong. I think that's like a vibroblade or whatever they call that. There's some. It was. I think it's something like that or whatever.
It was sick, man. And I got to give a shout out to the score. I mean, it was Star Wars, you know, and I was surprised at the underutilization of classic themes. We got a lot of them, definitely, but in very small portions. And I feel like we got a lot of new music, and each of the characters has an identifiable theme, and that's good. You know, I like that they had the old, but they're bringing in the new. And a lot of the old stuff was just like a tiny little phrase of the song that was a new song. It was just like, oh, Han and Leia are here. Let's play their love theme for a second, but then let's get into Rey's theme. You know, that stuff was great, and just the sound effects. Like one of my favorite Star Wars moments of the movie was when Rey and Finn, when they first meet and they run into like a hut and like they're being attacked, and Finn's like, shh. And you just hear the TIE fighters like, and I'm like, oh man, like that's so good. That's you. J.J. Abrams and the whole team of people really were like, what is Star Wars to people? You know, it's what you were talking about earlier about George Lucas. Like, does he own it or do the people own it? And this was J.J. Abrams, I think, being like, all right, what do the people want? And now, how do I hone that to be something that's good and what they want? Because what people want is not always right, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that he did a really good job of melding both of those things together. And I want to watch it again now. And that's
Yeah, I'm seeing it again
best.
on Christmas Eve, I think, when I go to Seattle for a little while. And I'm excited to kind of look at it through a new lens. Now I'm going to pay attention to the little things that I missed, because I'm sure I missed quite a bit. I do want to give a shout out. Like, there's just kind of the one of the cool things that I think Star Wars fans will appreciate too is kind of the lineage that they draw between the Republic and the new rebellion, basically, in terms of leadership and stuff. Akbar's in it, which I think is fucking
That
cool
was
as hell.
awesome.
Neenum, it looks like,
Yeah.
is in it. So like, who was instrumental with Lando and flying the Falcon against the second Death Star and stuff. So there's like these little. There's little like I'm like
Nuggets
this
here
is
and there,
yeah,
man.
yeah,
It's
pretty
cool.
neat.
And like two more things I want to say is on some nerdy video guy shit. Like, the sound effects were so good, like it was so classic Star Wars. But I was interested that the lightsabers didn't sound like lightsabers. Like, they were very updated. Because back in the old movies, like, the classic lightsaber clashing sounds, and when it turns on, it's a very distinct sound. They didn't use that until Rey turns it on, and then it was like that classic moment. I'm like, because the whole movie I was a little like, oh wow, they really fucked with something that I thought was sacred. And then having her do it, I was like, oh, they did that on purpose, and that's cool. Like, there's so much thought put into every little thing. And another thing that I was wrong about a lot of my predictions is what the planets. And I was just like taking stretches that maybe this is Yavin, maybe this is this, maybe this is that. And I love that there was no reference to what these planets are in this movie. And it seems like we got a whole new set of stuff. Like, there's a place that kind of looked like Coruscant, but it's probably not. And, we got a place that looked like Yavin, but it isn't. And that's really cool to me. Like, I like that it's like really, it's new, It's not just A New Hope again. It's New Hope again with a lot more.
Yeah, it's a New Hope. It's a New Hope in spirit, but yeah, I think it's even in the trench run and stuff like that. I'm like, Jesus,
New Hope
But like,
plus.
there are, it is its own movie.
But the whole scene with Han when they're on that freighter and the pirates come and there's like the two.
Yeah,
groups,
that was cool.
That was such a Han Solo moment. Like, it was the dialogue was so great, and then there's those big monsters and all that. That was, to me, felt more distinctly like Empire when they're like in the Millennium Falcon's in that thing. And
the Minox.
whatever. And like, I love you so fucking much, Colin. But it's like, I loved that. I loved that it wasn't just predictable and New Hope stuff. Like, they threw curveballs where I was like, what the hell? They left the Millennium Falcon and are now fighting monsters?
Yeah, it was very good. I don't think it's better than the trilogy, any of the movies in the trilogy, but I do think it's a
I don't
great
think it
movie.
could be.
No, I don't think it can be either. I mean, it shits down the throat of the prequels, and that's all we want. It's not marginally better than prequels. It is a real Star Wars movie. It is the fourth Star Wars movie. The prequels might as well not even exist anymore. I agree with you in that sense. I kind of want I wish that when we've talked about this before. I wish that when they were bold enough to say like the EU, everything Timothy Zahn and all those guys wrote, it's no longer canon, which was disappointing to me. But they had to do that. Like, I wish they would have been like, the prequels didn't happen either. I think that would have been the boldest thing, because they already seem to be retconning some stuff anyway. With like for instance with the way that the
woman talked about the Force.
and
It's
how
all around
it's like they don't.
I mean, yeah, I like it. I do think that it is more of a not everyone knows everything thing. So Qui-Gon knowing about midichlorians, Maz Kanata doesn't necessarily. And I think that now the prequels are canon. And I think that they need to be treated as such, because the last thing I want is inconsistency in what's canon, So it's like, while I do wish
to remake them.
I do wish that they fucking, yeah, I would love that. I would love if there was another 1, 2, and 3 that was totally different. But we're not going to get that. So I do hope that they do at least not retcon stuff, because that's when things get messy.
Right. And and also I think it's important to note that with the when you really think about the essence of the prequels, nothing is important that happens in the prequels at all.
So we're good.
Except like with the exception of the relationship between Palpatine and Anakin and Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan, obviously nothing really. Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon, and then Obi-Wan and Anakin, nothing else happened. Like in terms of like the Trade Federation and
embargoes.
the Boo and all that kind of like, it's all irrelevant. So like there's really no reason to ever reference it anyway. These were just stupid fucking storylines to progress what we already knew happened anyway.
Yeah.
So so they have the luxury of ignoring the pod races and General Grievous and fucking Count Dooku with his stupid fucking hilt and all this other shit that no one cares about.
We don't need to care, Colin.
Yeah.
Remember, this is a new fucking era. Honestly, I gotta say, one of my happiest moments of tonight is as the movie finished, I had to run to the bathroom. I was like, I need to pee so damn bad. So I did that. So I wasn't there for the initial chatter. And then afterwards we're walking, I looked at Kevin and was like, what's Colin's thoughts on this? And as I was asking him that, you walked down the stairs next to me like, it was good. And I was like, oh my God. Like, yes, because I was worried you weren't gonna like it.
No, I mean,
know?
I was, my skepticism started to grow a lot the last month or so where I'm like, what if it's, because I hadn't stopped to think, like, what if it's bad? Like, what if it's bad? But then I was like, it can't be bad. My baseline for it was like, it's going to be no less than good.
Yeah.
And I think it's a step above good. I think it's great. I don't think it's excellent or fantastic in any respect. I think they've set it up for the great A New Hope, the excellent, one of the best movies of all time, Empire, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So if they're fucking, throwing a meatball down the plate for them to hit the next time around, then that's cool with me. Like,
Yeah,
'cause
I
that's
mean-
exactly what A New Hope did for Empire.
I honestly, I agree with you. I would go a little further than that. I think that this is as good as it possibly could have been. And I think that it sets things up and asks the right questions. It answers the right questions. It leaves us wanting more. I love what J.J. Abrams did with this movie. I think he fucking killed it. And I am very happy that he's not directing 8. Not because I don't want more of this, but I think that is going to be great.
Do you know who's directing it?
Rian Johnson?
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, the guy that did Godzilla.
Oh, cool.
But Abrams will still-
the guy that did Looper. It's the guy that did Looper.
But Abrams will still be executive producing or whatever. Right? He's still involved.
Yeah, he's still doing that.
So
which
he'll
is
be-
great,
his
you know?
fingerprints will be
But I
on it.
love that. I think that's a good move because I think that episode 8 needs to be a different type of movie than this one was.
Just like Empire was different from A New Hope.
Yes, and I think that this is exactly what it needed to be. So, goddamn, like I'm still feeling jittery. Like I am.
That's good. That's great. I'm glad you're so excited.
Oh yes.
You guys missed the most important thing, of course. Shout out to Parkman from Heroes for being the new
Oh, yeah.
Porkins in this. I loved that. Him all fucking fat sitting in the X-Wing. I'm like, yeah, rock on, Team Fat.
Yeah.
That's what I like to see.
The last thing I want to say is just that was such a good experience seeing this movie because not only could I not believe that we just saw Star Wars Episode 7 like that. I remember when they announced this movie, I didn't believe it. Like, I never thought we were going to get another Star Wars movie. Legitimately, I really never thought we were. I was like, this is it. And if we do, it's not going to be Episode 7. It'll be something else. But it was. And if it is Episode 7, it's not going to have Luke, Leia, and Han. But it did. But if it does, it's not going to be Carrie Fisher, Harrison Ford, and Mark Hamill. But
Yeah.
they fucking were. And on top of all of that, we got to see trailers before for freaking Batman v Superman,
Captain America Civil War,
like all this stuff. I'm like,
Jungle Book.
yeah, but still, Batman v Superman and Civil War played before this, and I'm like, this is unreal.
What a time to be
this
alive.
is fan fiction.
What a time to be alive.
Oh god damn.
Ladies and gentlemen, what did you think of Star Wars The Force Awakens? Let us know in the comments. Then, of course, subscribe to our channel here on youtube.com/kindafunny. We talk about all sorts of stuff like Star Wars ad nauseum on the Game Over Greggy show and put up cool stuff. Until next time, it's been our pleasure to serve you.